I have this tweet from Kim.com. He tweeted this video from Russian American Daily. Russian Defense Minister. NATO assembled 360,000 troops in Eastern Europe. Poland is preparing to occupy Western Ukraine. This is the perspective of Russia. You can call them wrong, you can call them lies, you can call it propaganda, call it whatever you want. But we do know that Poland is sending another 2,000 troops to reinforce its border with Belarus. We do know that Joe Biden is calling reserve forces, already did, to be deployed into Europe. And there is a very real concern. Chinese and Russian warships conduct highly provocative drills near Alaska that, World War III. So take your pick. There's good reason for China to be attacking us from the inside to destabilize the United States. And there's a very real possibility that we're about to escalate into World War III. I say about to, but who knows how long this stuff takes. It could take several years or it could be overnight.
I feel like it's, you have become famous for calling for not World War III, I guess Civil War is normally.
Not calling for it. He just
not
mentions
calling.
it.
Sorry, I apologize. Just occasionally
calling out the words.
For saying the phrase. But I think, again, with the presence of military ships, I mentioned this, I think last week, that, we have this newly commissioned ship, the Canberra, that's in Australia. I think now more than ever, we are seeing this sort of toe-to-toe escalation in a small way. It's just hard for me to see who is going to make that first truly aggressive move. And I think that's the worst part of war, because we'll look back and be able to say like, oh, well, this was happening for a long time. But right now we're all sort of saying like, is this it? Is this happening?
And I think China feels very emboldened to threaten Taiwan, for instance. When they look at Joe Biden, he doesn't know where he's going. He's falling down all the time. And they look at the breakdown of American society, which in part is thanks to them with, TikTok and their push to weaken America. So, China is emboldened. I think they feel they can take Taiwan and America won't respond, because we've seen, so many red lines crossed, like in Syria, when the red line was crossed with chemical weapons and Obama threatened to do something, but he didn't. We've seen things in Ukraine as well. So I think China is moving closer and closer. And you have to think as well, China has huge investments in African countries. They have that island. What's that island called? Diego Garcia, which I believe is owned by the UK. They're actually giving that back to, I believe it's Mauritius. So China could potentially take that as a base in the Pacific. So you see China's building the military, they're building the islands. And when they look at America and they see, Joe Biden, a nation in decline, it just emboldens them.
Let's get conspiratorial. We have this big fire in Maui. They don't know how it started.
Wow.
I'm sure it's going to turn out to be like someone's cow kicked over a lantern or something like that, to be honest. However, we do have this story from back in February. China flashed mysterious green lasers over Hawaii, NASA says.
Whoa.
You guys remember this? This is like the first thing I thought of when you have these lasers.
Sky barcode.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's a good
why?
idea, by the way.
And what? Look at that. Yo, look at this video.
Oh shit, dude. They lighting shit on fire with that?
Language. Look at that.
My bad.
What are they doing with these beams of lasers being fired over Hawaii?
They're either they're producing heat, because that's what lasers are. They're either doing illumination or targeting,
Scanning.
or heating. Yeah, scanning maybe.
And you if you notice, you can only see the lasers in certain points. I don't believe that China intended for these lasers to be seen. Something, particulate matter, causes refraction, allowing you to see the lasers in the air. Maybe we haven't followed up in the story. Maybe there was an answer as to what this was. They say China's most likely behind the mysterious lights. Chinese pollution monitoring satellite Daki-1 probably produced the light spotted over Hawaii.
Oh, so it's monitoring pollution.
You can call it whatever you want, but
Yeah, right.
my attitude is, look, we are not on good terms with China right now. I mean, we can pretend, oh no, trade's going on, everything's fine. No, come on. They want Taiwan. They're building up their military. There's a chance for escalation, a chance for conflict. They want the South China Sea, and then they've got ships with Russia coming near the Aleutians, coming near U.S. territory, going near Hawaii, and then they're pulling off something like this. So look, how hard is it to start a fire? It's ridiculously easy to start a fire. And they can fire lasers? Okay.
It's a little challenging to get the fire to spread, but there were hurricane level. It said it was like hurricane level winds, or there's
I don't
heavy high winds.
So they're saying
if they can start 50 fires all at once with a sequence of satellites doing high burst, high energy lasers, then getting fire to spread isn't really the issue because you make the fire instantly in a bunch of different places.
And they can monitor the weather in Hawaii. I mean, you could just Google that. Like what I was reading from the National Guardsman who's making a statement was that, there's low humidity and high wind. So that's perfect conditions for wildfires to spread, which means any arson fires would also spread as quickly. Like China is perfectly able to say, like, this happens to be a dangerous period for fire in Hawaii. Perhaps now, if they were to do something. There was also a Chinese balloon observed above international waters near Hawaii in February 2022.
Wow. Right.
Yeah. So it does seem like obviously they have a targeted interest in Hawaii. And
remember when Marjorie Taylor Greene argued that there were like space lasers that could start fires?
Maybe she was right.
I think it's really funny because they claimed she said Jewish space lasers when she mentioned like Rothschild's bank was providing funding for certain technology or whatever. And I'm like, well, I don't know about any of that. But I can tell you that we have video of lasers being fired from satellites. Their argument came from a pollution monitoring satellite, but lasers did come from this satellite. Now, I don't know the capabilities of this, but I'm not going to believe them. Right? I'm not going to believe China's like, we're looking for pollution in Hawaii.
Well, and they said the balloon that went over Montana was like, oh, it was monitoring the weather and it blew off course and we didn't say anything. Like,
so the weather,
I don't want to be too mean to China right now, but they lie. I mean, they're declining to meet with our Secretary of State, or there are any delegations from Anthony Blinken. So what makes us think that they're feeling like they should give us any honest information, right? I think Ollie's right. There is a general opinion coming from China that America is not in a position of strength. I mean, I remember being on Pop Culture Crisis, the podcast, at the end of this last year, and we were talking about the fact that China was declining more Western movies. I mean, they are not interested in American culture right now. And in fact, to your point, they're probably trying to insulate themselves from American culture because American culture, modern American culture is largely about the destruction and the turning within oneself, and there's no patriotism. There's a lack of civic engagement. It makes the country weak. And so in turn, it makes their adversaries stronger.
They're saying that it may have been cloud aerosol LiDAR and infrared pathfinder satellite observation, Calypso. Good job with that one, guys. They say it's been orbiting for more than 15 years. So maybe it's nothing. But I can tell you this. Space lasers are real. Confirmed. We know popular mechanics. We know about space lasers. Lasers can start fires. The question is, what is the potentiality for China to have any kind of laser on a satellite that can produce enough energy to start a fire? Would they do it against us? I think this is all easily within the realm of possibility, that they can damage our economy and cripple us in major areas and make it look like an accident. It's I guess, fifth generational warfare.
Yeah. First thought I had was, let's get Kash Patel in here and talk about high-tech weaponry and see what. He's not going to tell everyone what the American government has necessarily, but he'll be able to smile and nod while we're talking about these things. Hey, man, that's it. If we need to be on guard, I don't say believe everything or have an open mind to the point where your brain falls out. Like, not everything is possible. Everything's possible. Well,
I love that image. Your mind is so open, your brain falls out.
Have you ever seen? It's a meme. I didn't make it up, but there's like a meme with the guys. He's like, hey, thinking, and then it thinks, yeah.
That's funny.
Keep it in mind, though. Yeah, space lasers are legit real. And they can make things very, very hot.
I think the question is, what's the point of the timing? Like, at what point do we think that anyone would want
chaos?
To escalate war? Just chaos?
Well,
or
I mean, if
we're busy dealing with,
if China invades Taiwan tomorrow, then we'll get it, right? Mm-hmm. So this is a target. This is a Pacific economic hub,
and naval bases.
And they just did military training, the Chinese and Russians, a few days ago up by the Aleutian Islands in Alaska.
And the U.S. deployed warships, and now all of a sudden an unknown fire sparks and wipes out a whole city. I mean, the damage that we see in this city, only 53 dead, thank heavens, because it was just a fire. But this wiped out basically the whole city. That's if that is a weapon, that is a powerful weapon. God, like, dude, the reality is, we've got videos online of the U.S. having large infrared lasers that can shoot down drones. It heats them up until they burst into flames and then they fall out of the sky. With a satellite, I don't know how long it would take to get a charge for a laser powerful enough to start a fire, but you don't. I mean, the range is probably the issue. I mean, we're talking, what is it, 50 miles? What's a low Earth orbit satellite? Probably 150 miles. You want to Google that real quick?
Find out.
That's a long distance for something to start a fire. So I don't know. That seems like a bit much, to be completely honest.
2,000
You're just proving your own theory right now.
2,000 kilometers.
Between 160 kilometers and 2,000 kilometers.
Wow, so even less than that. So it could be like 60 miles, 70 miles. Is there a laser that can start a fire within 60 miles? I kind of feel like military tech is way beyond what we think. And even if it was like a rail gun that launched a small incendiary or something, it's easier than a laser.
Or like 10 lasers to like times 10 if you can't, if for the distance you need it hotter, you could.
And focusing it in one direction. The question is how much energy would it need to store to be able to pull something like that at that range? And it maybe it takes 7 months to charge up with solar, and then it can set off a couple small fires, something, who knows? But you got this. You also got the fires up in Canada. Yeah. So what's going on now? They're going to claim climate change and all that stuff, I'm sure. But what if the reality is war?
Well, there was wildfires in Greece recently, and some investigative reporters found that the land that was burnt already had a permit to build wind farms, but the locals didn't want them to build there. So that could be one explanation. It's purposeful arson, so that land developers can buy the land cheap and get in there and claim it's climate change, but really it's just them trying to seize some land for a cheap price.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.